One crisp morning in Asheville, North Carolina, I, Eleanor Hartwell, stepped into my backyard expecting the usual symphony of birds and the delicate scent of my rare wildflowers. Instead, I found myself staring at a raging torrent where my cherished garden once thrived. At 58, I'm no stranger to life's curveballs, but this was my sanctuary, a botanical haven of native plants I'd spent decades nurturing, transformed overnight into a muddy, whitewater nightmare. My fuzzy slippers sank into the muck as I gaped, heart pounding at the chaos. The culprit? The Crestwood Heights Homeowners Association, or as I now call them, the Wreck Eleanor's Life Brigade. Little did they know, their grand scheme to beautify the neighborhood would drown their own gilded mansions in a delicious twist of fate. Buckle up, this tale of revenge, rare plants, and righteous fury is about to get wild. I'm Eleanor, a botanical collector by trade, which means I obsess over endangered flora and pin blog posts read by maybe a dozen plant geeks. My modest Asheville cottage, inherited from my eccentric Aunt Beatrice, sits like a stubborn dandelion among the million-dollar estates of Crestwood Heights. While their lawns are clipped with surgical precision, my backyard is a living masterpiece. Ferns that look plucked from a Jurassic forest, orchids with scents that could seduce a poet, and flowers so rare their Latin names could choke a dictionary. Sharing this chaos is my best friend, Claravas, a 61-year-old sculptor whose laugh could rattle windows, and my African gray parrot, Jasper, whose vocabulary would make a sailor blush. We're an odd trio, content in our quirky haven till the HOA decided my garden was their personal punching bag. Crestwood Heights screams wealth, with mansions sporting columns that practically beg for admiration. My mossy stone path and untamed greenery stick out like a sore thumb, and the HOA loathes it. Leading their crusade is Margot Langley, a 63-year-old former ad executive who struts through life like she owns the Blue Ridge Mountains. Margot's smile promises warmth but delivers venom, and her life's mission seems to be making mine hell. For years, she bombarded me with letters whining about my garden's unkempt, too many native plants, not enough sculpted hedges. Once, she fined me $50 because my milkweed offended the neighborhood's elegance. I framed that letter and hung it in my kitchen, where Jasper now squawks, "Margot's a prig," every time he sees it. The trouble escalated when Margot unveiled the HOA's landscape enhancement project at their monthly meeting, held in a clubhouse so polished it could double as a spaceship. Standing at a podium, her diamonds glinting under chandeliers, she announced a scenic channel to boost property values. Sounds quaint, right? Except the map on the wall showed that channel slicing through my backyard, funneling a nearby stream straight into my garden. My life's work, home to some of North Carolina's last remaining endangered species, was about to become a ditch. I stood, clutching my tattered notebook of plant sketches, and pleaded, "Margot, this will destroy my garden. These plants are irreplaceable." My voice shook, but I held my ground. The room fell silent until Margot's laugh, sharp as a shard of glass, got through. "Eleanor, darling," she sneered, "your weed jungle is no garden. It's a blight. This channel will make Crestwood Heights Asheville's crown jewel." The HOA's elite, a flock of rich folks with too much money and too little sense, nodded like puppets. One car dealership tycoon even clapped. Defeated, I sank into my seat, face burning, as Clara shot me a sympathetic look from the back. That night, standing among my evening primroses, I ran my fingers over a mountain camellia's fragile petals. The thought of bulldozers ripping through here made my chest ache. Jasper, perched on my shoulder, muttered, "Margot's gonna choke." For once, I agreed with my foul-mouthed bird. This was war. The HOA didn't waste time. A week later, a letter arrived on embossed letterhead that probably cost more than my grocery budget. It demanded I remove non-compliant vegetation to accommodate their channel, threatening a $600 fine if I didn't comply within 72 hours. Non-compliant? That's what they called my endangered trilliums and prize-winning pitcher plants. I showed the letter to Clara, who was chiseling a stone in her studio. She snorted so hard she nearly dropped her mallet. "Eleanor, these people are unhinged. What's next? Fining you for blinking too much." Jasper chimed in, "Margot's a prig." I laughed, but rage simmered beneath. This wasn't just about a channel, it was personal. I fired back with a letter, politely noting that my plants were protected by state conservation laws, and inviting the HOA to tour my garden with a botanist. I even suggested Margot bring her diamonds for the occasion. They didn't bite. Instead, they sent another letter, this time whining that my fern's asymmetrical growth disrupted the neighborhood's aesthetic harmony. Clara choked on her coffee when I read that aloud. They need therapy, she gasped. I framed that letter too, dubbing it my wall of lunacy, with Jasper's approval. But the HOA wasn't done. They sent an inspector, a nervous guy in a polo shirt who measured my ferns like he was solving a crime. He handed me a citation for excessive plant density. I asked, "So, what's the legal fern limit in Asheville?" He mumbled something about guidelines and fled. The final straw came one morning when I woke to the roar of heavy machinery. I bolted outside to find workers in hard hats tearing up my property with a backhoe. They were digging the channel, no warning, no mercy. I waved my complaint letter, shouting, "Stop." The foreman shrugged, muttering about permits. I called the city, only to learn the HOA had greased the approval process with donations. By nightfall, the stream was redirected. Muddy water surged through my garden, swallowing my ferns and churning my flower beds into sludge. The air reeked of broken roots and wet earth. Clara put a hand on my shoulder as I stood ankle-deep in the wreckage. "We'll fix this, Eleanor," she said. I wasn't so sure. But nature had a plot twist. Crestwood Heights slopes gently, with my house near the top and the HOA's mansions below. That stream, now unleashed, didn't stop at my yard. It roared downhill, turning their pristine cul-de-sac into a lake. Water lapped at marble fountains, seeped under mahogany doors, and drowned their manicured hedges. A man in a golf shirt waded through his driveway, yelling into his phone. A woman clutched her yapping dog as water crept toward her porch. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Clara joined me, and Jasper crowed. Karma's a flood. By evening, Margot's gaudy mansion, with its "I'm richer than you" columns, was a swamp. Her custom wine cellar, I heard, was now a fish tank, with bottles of Chardonnay bobbing like buoys. The HOA called an emergency meeting, and I crashed it to watch Margot squirm. The clubhouse was a circus gone where the smug knots. People shouted, waved soggy golf clubs, and pointed fingers. Margot, usually poised, looked like a deer caught in a storm. "This is temporary," she stammered. But a man bellowed, "Temporary? My basement's a pool." Clara whispered, "This beats reality TV." She wasn't wrong. Standing there, I had an epiphany. I'm no hydrologist, but I know ecosystems. The stream's original path flowed harmlessly into woods outside Crestwood Heights. By rerouting it, the revolutionized HOA had ignored basic topography, sending water through my garden and into their own backyards. I called my friend Lena, who works at the state's environmental office. "If they skipped permits," she said, grinning through the phone, "they're screwed. Send me everything." I got to work, filming my ruined garden like a documentary narrator. "Here's where my trilliums grew, now a mud pit, courtesy of the HOA," I said, panning to the churning water. Then I strolled downhill, capturing flooded driveways and Margot's drowning rose bushes. "Looks like Margot's got her waterfront property," I quipped as Jasper squawked. "Margot's sunk." The video, posted to my blog, exploded with thousands of views. Comments poured in. "Get Eleanor," and "HOAs are the worst." Lena confirmed the HOA's permits were flimsy, and my garden's rare plants made it a protected ecological site. Their flooding it was illegal. I dug deeper, unearthing contractor emails admitting they'd streamlined approvals code for bribes. I enlisted Theo Carver, a 42-year-old environmental lawyer who hated HOAs as much as I did. "This is gold, Eleanor," he said, grinning at my footage. A retired hydrologist, Agnes, drove over with charts showing the channel had wrecked the watershed. My blog's tiny community rallied, offering legal tips and moral support. I kept filming, documenting every soggy stem and flooded mansion. My petition to investigate the HOA hit 5,000 signatures, fueled by stories of others' HOA nightmares, fines for blue mailboxes, threats over Christmas lights. I wasn't just fighting for my garden, I was a torchbearer for every underdog. The HOA scrambled. Margot's newsletter called the flooding a natural anomaly, but no one bought it. Her allies were too busy bailing out their basements. Theo filed complaints with the state and city, citing illegal stream diversion and ecological damage. I sent my footage to a local news station, and soon a reporter interviewed me in my muddy yard, with Jasper stealing the show by squawking, "Margot's sunk." The segment aired, making Crestwood Heights a laughingstock. The showdown came at a city hall hearing, packed with neighbors, reporters, and my blog's fans. Theo laid out our case like a master prosecutor, showing my videos on a big screen. When Margot's flooded rosebushes appeared, the room roared with laughter. My quip about her waterfront property drew grins even from officials. Margot, sans her usual diamonds, looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Her lawyer's act of God defense was shot down. Your act of God looks like bad math, the head official snapped. The state fined the HOA heavily, ordered them to restore the stream, and awarded me compensation that left me speechless. Margot was ousted as HOA president, replaced by a quiet man who vowed to stop policing ferns. Her wine cellar was a total loss, her Bordeaux now fish food. The HOA's reputation tanked as my news segment looped on local TV. I used the money to rebuild my garden, planting new trilliums and a rare orchid I'd long coveted. A sign by my gate reads, Eleanor's Botanical Sanctuary. No channels allowed. My blog's readership soared, and I started speaking at conservation events. Who knew a flooded yard could make me Asheville's plant hero? Sitting in my restored garden with Clara sketching and Jasper muttering, Margot's gone, I felt peace. This wasn't just about plants, it was about standing up to bullies who think wealth buys a free pass. Margot thought she'd buried me, but she forgot one thing. Never mess with a botanist with a grudge.